At 4:17 a.m. on November 2, 1944, Sergeant Thomas Kellerman shifted his weight on volcanic rock atop Bloody Nose Ridge, felt his M1903A4 Springfield slip from his hands, and watched it fall 3 feet onto jagged coral. The sound was distinct, metal on stone, then glass cracking, not shattering, cracking, the kind of sound that ends careers. He picked up the rifle. The Unertl 8 power scope had a spider web fracture across the left lens, diagonal, top right to bottom left. The crack caught the pre-dawn light from American artillery firing 2 miles south. Kellerman held the rifle and understood 3 things immediately. First, the scope was destroyed. Second, replacing it would take 6 weeks minimum. Third, his war was over. The scope was worth $73, 3 months of his pay. Regulation issue from Springfield Armory, factory calibrated to his rifle. Breaking it meant filling out Form 27-C, Equipment Damage Report. Meant explaining to Supply Sergeant Morrison how a Marine sniper dropped his primary weapon. Meant requisitioning a replacement from Brisbane, 800 miles across the Pacific. Meant waiting while Japanese infiltrators kept killing Americans in their sleep. The air smelled like coral dust and decomposition. Peleliu's signature scent. The humidity was 87%. Kellerman's hands were slick with sweat. The volcanic rock under his position still held heat from yesterday's sun. He'd been on Bloody Nose Ridge for 4 months. 43 confirmed kills. 0 misses on targets over 300 yards. His rifle was his instrument. The scope was his eyes. Without it, he was just another rifleman with a bolt-action weapon in a war that needed machine guns. But Peleliu didn't care about requisition timelines. The 1st Marine Division was fighting for an airfield the Japanese had fortified with 10,500 troops in a cave system that stretched for miles underground. Japanese doctrine called it defense in depth. American Marines called it hell. The caves were natural. Coral limestone formations carved by centuries of rain. The Japanese had improved them, added firing positions, storage chambers, hospital facilities, underground barracks, command posts 40 feet below the surface. You couldn't artillery them. You couldn't bomb them. You could only go in after them with flamethrowers and grenades and die in the darkness. But the Japanese didn't stay in the caves. They came out at night. Small infiltration teams, 3 to 5 men. They targeted command posts, artillery positions, ammunition dumps. Silent kills with bayonets and knives. They moved in complete darkness. No lights, no sound. They crawled 200 yards in 2 hours. Stayed low, used dead ground, used the terrain depressions that hid them from observation. American sentries didn't see them until they were inside the perimeter. By then it was too late. By November, these night raids had killed 73 Americans in their sleep. 73 Marines who survived beach landings and cave assaults and artillery barrages, then died to a knife in the dark. The statistics were devastating. More Marines were dying to infiltrators than to cave defense. Command had assigned Marine snipers to stop them. 47 known cave entrances, 8 sniper teams. Impossible mathematics. Marine snipers were supposed to watch the cave mouths, supposed to shoot infiltrators before they reached American lines. But Japanese soldiers moved when American snipers couldn't see them. They moved during the 3-second window when snipers were acquiring sight picture through their scopes. Moved when snipers were confirming target identity. Moved when doctrine said, wait. Standard American sniper doctrine required positive target identification before firing. Doctrine required clear sight picture through the scope. Doctrine required confirmed threat. You didn't shoot at shadows. You didn't shoot at movement. You waited for a clear target. The regulations were explicit. Confirmed enemy combatant. Weapon visible. Hostile intent demonstrated. Only then could you fire. The Japanese exploited that hesitation. They knew American snipers followed rules. Knew Americans needed positive identification. So they moved like shadows. Stayed in dead ground. Never exposed themselves long enough for positive ID. By the time American snipers confirmed targets, the infiltrators were past the kill zone. Past the sniper positions, inside American lines. 8 Marine snipers had died trying to stop infiltrators. Good men, experienced shooters. They died because Japanese soldiers moved faster than doctrine allowed snipers to respond. They died following regulations that kept them from shooting at movement they couldn't positively identify. Kellerman had lost 2 spotters to infiltrators, not because he was a bad sniper, because he followed doctrine. The first was Corporal Danny Reeves. October 12, 1944. Reeves was from Kentucky, 19 years old. He'd been Kellerman's spotter for 6 weeks. Good kid, steady hands, could read wind better than most men twice his age. They'd been watching cave entrance 23. 200 yards from their position to the cave mouth. 300 yards from the cave to American lines. Kellerman had acquired a target at 11:47 p.m. Movement in darkness. Shadow crawling toward the perimeter. Kellerman followed procedure, watched through his scope, waited for positive identification, waited to confirm the shadow was Japanese, waited to see a weapon, waited 3 seconds. The doctrine said, wait. While Kellerman waited, an infiltrator he hadn't seen reached their position from a different angle. Reeves heard movement. Turned. The Japanese soldier drove a bayonet through his ribs before Reeves could bring his rifle up. Kellerman heard the struggle. Turned from his scope. Too late. Reeves died in 4 minutes. Bayonet had punctured his lung. He drowned in his own blood while Kellerman held pressure on the wound and screamed for a corpsman. The corpsman arrived in 6 minutes. Reeves had been dead for 2. Kellerman had followed doctrine perfectly, waited for positive ID, confirmed the threat. By the time he confirmed it, Reeves was dying. The second spotter was Private First Class Miguel Santos. October 24, 1944. Santos was from Los Angeles, 21 years old. He'd replaced Reeves. Lasted 12 days. Same scenario. Kellerman was acquiring sight picture on a target 200 yards out, taking the 3 seconds doctrine required to confirm identity. During those 3 seconds, an infiltrator reached their position. Santos saw him first, shot him. But the Japanese soldier got a knife into Santos's throat before he died. Santos bled out while Kellerman radioed for a corpsman. Took him 3 minutes. The corpsman arrived in 7. Santos had been dead for 4. His last words were, "Stop waiting, just shoot." Then he died. Kellerman had followed doctrine again, confirmed his target, took the time regulations required. Santos paid the price. 2 spotters, both dead, both killed while Kellerman followed the rules. The regulations kept him alive and got his friends killed. Kellerman had 43 confirmed kills, 0 misses over 300 yards, 2 dead spotters. The statistics didn't balance. Now he sat on Bloody Nose Ridge at 4:17 a.m. on November 2nd, holding a rifle with a cracked scope. He looked through it. The crack ran diagonally across the left lens. It created 2 overlapping sight pictures. The top image showed the normal view with the reticle centered. The bottom image showed the same view offset by 2 inches. Disorienting, made him dizzy, made precise aiming impossible. He should have reported it immediately, should have walked 400 yards to supply Sergeant Morrison's tent, should have filled out Form 27-C, should have requested a replacement scope, should have taken the rifle out of service until the replacement arrived in 6 weeks. Instead, Kellerman cleaned the rifle, checked the bore, verified the action, loaded 5 rounds of M2 ball ammunition. The rifle functioned perfectly, only the scope was damaged. He looked through it again, 2 overlapping images, top and bottom, offset by 2 inches, useless for precision shooting, or maybe not. He thought about Reeves, thought about Santos, thought about 73 dead Marines, thought about Japanese infiltrators who moved during the 3-second window when he was confirming targets, thought about doctrine that said wait for positive identification, thought about how waiting got good men killed. The crack in his scope made precision aiming impossible. But Japanese infiltrators didn't require precision. They required speed. They required shooting at movement before movement became a knife in the dark. They required breaking doctrine. And a cracked scope that made normal sniping impossible might make something else possible. Kellerman made a decision. He didn't report the damage, didn't walk to Morrison's tent, didn't fill out Form 27-C. Instead, he wrapped the rifle in canvas, secured it in his position, prepared for nightfall, because in 5 days, 104 Japanese soldiers would die. And the crack that should have ended his war would become the reason the Japanese stopped their night infiltrations on Peleliu completely. What Kellerman discovered that night would change how every Marine sniper in the Pacific fought. But first, he had to break every regulation in the Marine Corps Sniper Manual. Doctrine said, wait for a clear target. Kellerman was done waiting. November 2nd, 1944, 7:30 p.m. Kellerman took his position 200 yards from cave entrance 23. The position was a depression in the coral ridge. Natural cover, good sight lines. It overlooked the approach route to the American ammunition dump 300 yards east. If Japanese infiltrators wanted to hit the ammo dump, they'd come through this corridor. Kellerman had used this position 11 times in the past month. He knew every rock, every shadow, every angle. His new spotter was Lance Corporal James Park, 20 years old, San Francisco. Park had been on Peleliu for 6 weeks, 0 combat experience before the island. He'd volunteered for spotter duty after Santos died. Nobody else wanted the job. 2 dead spotters in 2 weeks created a reputation. Park either didn't know the statistics or didn't care. Park settled into position next to Kellerman, watched him handle the rifle. Park noticed immediately that something was different. Kellerman was adjusting the scope more than usual, touching it carefully, avoiding certain angles. "Something wrong with your scope?" Park asked. "No," Kellerman said. "Just checking the mounting." Park didn't believe him, but didn't press. He'd been a spotter for 6 days, hadn't earned the right to question a sergeant with 43 confirmed kills. The weather was typical for Peleliu. Humidity 87%, temperature 79 degrees, no moon. Cloud cover at 4,000 feet. Visibility maximum 40 yards in darkness. Perfect conditions for Japanese infiltrators. Terrible conditions for American snipers who needed positive target identification. Kellerman tested the cracked scope, looked through it at known reference points. A dead tree at 100 yards, a coral outcropping at 150 yards, the cave entrance at 200 yards. The double image was consistent. Top view showed the reticle. Bottom view showed the same scene offset 2 inches to the right. At 200 yards, that 2-inch offset translated to approximately 3 feet. He did the mathematics in his head. If a target was moving left to right at typical crawling speed, about 1.5 feet per second, the offset image would show where the target would be in 2 seconds. The crack gave him predictive aiming. He could aim at shadows using the offset image. Could shoot where targets would be instead of where they were. Could fire without waiting for positive identification because the double image let him track movement in darkness that normal scopes couldn't see. Or he was insane and about to waste ammunition shooting at nothing. 11:47 p.m. Park whispered, "Movement. 2 o'clock. Maybe 180 yards." Kellerman looked, saw nothing with normal vision, brought the rifle up, looked through the cracked scope. The double image revealed something, not a clear target, just disturbance in the darkness, shadow moving against shadow. The top image showed nothing definitive. The bottom image, the offset view, showed a shape. Low, crawling, moving left to right at consistent speed. No positive identification possible, no weapon visible, no confirmed threat, just movement. Doctrine said wait. Wait for the target to expose itself. Wait for confirmation. Wait 3 seconds. Wait while the infiltrator got closer to American lines. Wait while maybe another spotter died. Kellerman aimed at the offset image, the shadow that showed where the target would be in 2 seconds. He didn't think about doctrine, didn't think about regulations. Thought about Reeves dying with a bayonet in his ribs. Thought about Santos bleeding out with a knife in his throat. Thought about 73 Marines killed in their sleep. He fired. The Springfield's recoil was familiar, comfortable. He worked the bolt, ejected the spent casing, chambered another round. The entire motion took 1.3 seconds. Muscle memory from 4 months of combat. Park was staring through his binoculars. "I heard something fall," he said. "I think you hit it." "Confirmed kill?" Kellerman asked. "Can't see. Too dark. But something stopped moving. Not good enough for the official count, but good enough for Kellerman. He'd fired at pure movement using a cracked scope's offset image and hit something that stopped moving. Either he'd killed an infiltrator or he'd shot a rock. They'd know at dawn. 12:03 a.m. More movement. 180 yards. Same approach corridor. Kellerman acquired it faster this time. The double image made movement visible that shouldn't be visible. He aimed at the offset, fired. Park heard the impact. Body falling on coral rock makes a specific sound, different from a miss hitting stone. "That's 2, Park said. "How are you seeing them?" "Keep watching," Kellerman said. 12:34 a.m., 3 targets moving together. Kellerman saw them through the cracked scope. 3 separate shadows in the offset image. Moving in formation, professional spacing, 5 yards between each man, standard Japanese infiltration pattern. Traditional sniping doctrine said, engage the nearest threat first, eliminate the immediate danger, then engage secondary targets. But Kellerman's cracked scope showed him all 3 targets simultaneously. Showed him their movement patterns. Showed him something doctrine didn't account for. He shot the middle target first. The formation broke immediately. Lead infiltrator stopped moving. Trailing infiltrator froze. Both were trying to understand what happened. Understanding took 3 seconds. Kellerman used those 3 seconds. Second shot hit the lead target trying to retreat. Third shot hit the trailing target still frozen in confusion. 3 kills in 11 seconds. Park lowered his binoculars. "Jesus Christ, Ghost. What the hell?" 3 confirmed? Kellerman asked. 3 something. I heard 3 bodies hit. I can't see shit in this darkness. But something's dead out there. Kellerman reloaded. 5 fresh rounds. The Springfield held 5 rounds in the internal magazine. He'd fired 8 shots total, had carried 40 rounds to this position, 32 remaining, enough for the rest of the night. Probably. 1:15 a.m., movement at 210 yards, 2 targets using dead ground. A depression in the coral that should have hidden them from observation, should have made them invisible to normal scopes. But the cracked scope's double image revealed angles normal scopes couldn't process. The offset showed depth perception, showed the depression, showed targets moving through terrain they thought was cover. Kellerman shot both, 4th and 5th kills. Park was no longer asking how Kellerman was seeing targets. Park was just counting bodies. 2:47 a.m. Final movement of the night. Solo infiltrator. Extreme caution. Professional movement. This wasn't a conscript. This was someone with training. Someone with experience. Someone who knew how to approach American positions without being detected. Kellerman tracked him through the cracked scope. The infiltrator used every piece of cover, moved during moments when American sentries were looking other directions, timed his movement to artillery fire in the distance, used the sound to mask his approach. Perfect tactical discipline. Kellerman aimed at the offset image, fired without positive identification, without confirmed threat, without seeing a weapon, fired at a shadow moving through darkness 230 yards away. The infiltrators stopped moving. At dawn, they found the body 6 feet from an American machine gun position. Japanese sergeant, 8 years combat experience based on his service ribbons. He'd been carrying a satchel charge, enough explosive to destroy the machine gun position and kill its 3-man crew. Kellerman's shot had hit him through the upper chest, killed him before he could throw the charge. November 3rd, 1944, 6:30 a.m. Captain Morrison arrived to count bodies. Morrison was 1st Battalion intelligence officer. Tall, thin, from Philadelphia, he'd been on Peleliu since the beach landing. Had seen enough dead Japanese to estimate age and experience from how they approached. Morrison walked the killing zone with Park. Found 9 bodies, all Japanese, all infiltrators, all killed by single rifle shots. Morrison examined each body, checked wound placement, 7 chest shots, 2 headshots. All kills were clean, professional. Morrison returned to Kellerman's position. Explain how you got 9 kills in one night. Good position, Kellerman said. Lucky night. Morrison looked at the position, looked at the approach corridor, looked at where the bodies fell. The mathematics didn't work. Average night for Marine sniper teams was 0 to 1 kills. Exceptional nights were 2 or 3. 9 kills in one night was impossible, unless something had changed. What's different about tonight? Morrison asked. Nothing, sir. Same position I've used before. Morrison examined Kellerman's rifle, picked it up. Kellerman's stomach clenched. If Morrison looked through the scope, saw the crack, the rifle would go to supply. 6-week replacement timeline. 9 dead infiltrators tonight. How many dead Marines tomorrow night when Kellerman was waiting for a new scope? Morrison checked the rifle's action, checked the bore, didn't look through the scope, handed it back. Same position tonight, Morrison said. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. Yes, sir. Morrison left. Park waited until Morrison was 200 yards away, then pulled Kellerman aside. Your scope's cracked, Park said. I saw it when you were reloading. Light hit it wrong, and I saw the break. Kellerman said nothing. You gonna report it? Park asked. Are you? Park looked at the 9 bodies being collected by Graves registration. Looked at Kellerman. You just saved 9 guys from getting their throats cut. Maybe more. That Japanese sergeant with the satchel charge would have killed 3 Marines minimum. Maybe you saved 12 guys tonight. I didn't see shit wrong with your scope. It's broken, Kellerman said. Can't aim properly. You got 9 kills. Got lucky. 9 times? Kellerman cleaned his rifle, checked the action, verified the scope mounting. The crack was still there. diagonal, top right to bottom left, creating two overlapping images that made traditional sniping impossible, but made something else possible. Something Doctrine hadn't anticipated. Something that killed 9 infiltrators in one night. Park sat next to him. What's the plan for tonight? Different position. Japanese won't use the same approach twice. You really think you can do this again? Kellerman thought about Reeves, thought about Santos, thought about 73 dead Marines, thought about a cracked scope that let him shoot at shadows, thought about Doctrine that said, wait for positive identification, thought about how waiting got people killed. Yeah, Kellerman said. I can do this again. November 3rd, 7:30 p.m. Kellerman and Park took position near cave entrance, 17, 220 yards from the cave mouth. Different corridor, different approach route, same cracked scope. By dawn on November 4th, they'd have 14 more confirmed kills. The Japanese were about to learn that sometimes broken equipment works better than perfect equipment. Sometimes violations of doctrine save more lives than following regulations. Sometimes a sergeant from Montana with a cracked scope is more dangerous than an entire platoon following the manual. Park checked his ammunition, checked his binoculars, looked at Kellerman. Ready? Park asked. Kellerman looked through his cracked scope. 2 overlapping images, offset by 2 inches, disorienting, impossible to use for normal sniping, perfect for hunting infiltrators in darkness. Ready? Kellerman said. Night 2 was about to begin. November 3rd, 1944, 8 p.m. Kellerman repositioned to cave entrance 17. The Japanese had learned from Night 1. They avoided the killing zone near cave 23. Avoided the approach corridor where 9 of their men died. They were predictable that way. Hit once, adjust. Never use the same route twice. Kellerman had predicted the adjustment, studied terrain maps during daylight, identified alternate approach routes from the eastern cave complex. Cave 17 fed into a coral ravine that led directly toward the American artillery positions. Good cover. Multiple defilade positions. Logical choice for professional infiltrators. He was right. First movement at 9:43 p.m. 3 targets. 200 yards, moving through the ravine. Kellerman tracked them through the cracked scope. The double image made the ravine's depth perception perfect, showed exactly where the targets were in 3-dimensional space, showed their spacing, showed their movement pattern. He shot all 3, 2 minutes, 3 kills. Park counted, that's 3. 13 more to go, Kellerman said. 13 what? To beat last night. Park stared at him. You're keeping score? Everyone keeps score. By dawn on November 4th, Kellerman had 14 confirmed kills. Every shot was at movement without positive identification. Every shot violated doctrine. Every shot hit. The cracked scope's offset image never lied. If the shadow appeared in the offset, something was there. If Kellerman aimed at the offset and fired, something died. One shot stood out. Japanese officer at 240 yards, moving through brush that should have concealed him completely. No positive ID possible through normal optics. But the cracked scope's double image revealed movement behind vegetation, revealed the displacement of branches, revealed presence without showing the person. Kellerman fired. The officer fell. They found his body at dawn. Captain rank, 16 years service. Carried orders for coordinating infiltration teams across 3 cave complexes. His death disrupted Japanese command structure for the entire eastern sector. 1 shot, 240 yards. At a shadow Kellerman shouldn't have been able to see. Park kept detailed notes. Time of each shot. Estimated range. Confirmed kills at dawn. The notebook became evidence. Proof that a cracked scope was killing Japanese faster than perfect scopes. Proof that doctrine was wrong. Proof that Kellerman had discovered something the Marine Corps hadn't anticipated. November 4th, morning. Other Marine snipers noticed Kellerman's statistics. 9 kills night 1, 14 kills night 2, 23 total in 2 nights. The average Marine sniper on Peleliu had 23 confirmed kills after 4 months. Kellerman got 23 in 48 hours. Sergeant Mike Wilson approached Kellerman at the morning briefing. Wilson was a 4-month veteran. 27 confirmed kills total. Good sniper, experienced, professional. He'd been watching Kellerman's numbers climb. "What's your secret?" Wilson asked. "Right place, right time," Kellerman said. "Bullshit. Nobody gets lucky 9 times in one night, then 14 times the next night." "What are you doing different?" "Nothing." Wilson didn't believe him, but he didn't press. You didn't question another sniper's methods. You just watched and learned. Wilson watched. He didn't learn anything he could replicate. Gunnery Sergeant Raymond Hayes called a sniper meeting at 1300 hours. Hayes commanded all sniper teams in 1st Battalion. 32 years old, Georgia. He'd been a sniper instructor at Camp Lejeune before the war. He understood statistics. He understood that Kellerman's numbers were impossible. 8 snipers attended the meeting. Hayes stood in front of a map showing cave locations and infiltration routes. "Infiltration kills are down 60% in Sectors 7, Hayes said. "That's Sergeant Kellerman's sector. Japanese are still hitting Sectors 4, 5, and 6. They're avoiding Sector 7 completely." The other snipers looked at Kellerman. Hayes continued. "Whatever Sergeant Kellerman is doing, I want everyone doing it. Kellerman, explain your method." Kellerman couldn't explain without revealing the cracked scope. Couldn't tell them he was shooting at shadows using equipment that was broken. Couldn't say he violated doctrine on every shot. So he said, "I'm shooting at movement, not waiting for positive ID." "That's against doctrine," Hayes said. "Yes, Gunnery Sergeant." "And it's working." "Yes, Gunnery Sergeant." Hayes studied him. "Anyone else willing to shoot at movement without positive ID?" Silence. The other snipers understood the implication. Shooting without positive ID meant possible friendly fire incidents, meant court-martial if you killed a Marine, meant taking responsibility doctrine was designed to avoid. "Kellerman's sector has 0 friendly casualties," Hayes said. 23 confirmed enemy kills, 0 friendly fire incidents. I'm authorizing experimental rules of engagement for night infiltration. Interdiction. Snipers may engage movement in confirmed infiltration corridors without positive ID. Effective immediately. The meeting ended. Other snipers tried to replicate Kellerman's results. They failed. They shot at movement, missed, wasted ammunition, got 0 kills. The problem wasn't doctrine. The problem was they didn't have cracked scopes. They couldn't see what Kellerman saw, couldn't aim at offset images that predicted target position, couldn't shoot shadows that normal scopes didn't reveal. Kellerman's statistics kept climbing. 9, 14, 19, 23, 18 kills per night. By November 6th, he had 83 confirmed kills in 5 nights. His rifle had become the most effective weapon system on Peleliu. More effective than artillery, more effective than air support, more effective than flamethrowers. 1 rifle, 1 scope, 1 crack. Night 3, November 4th, 19 kills. The Japanese adapted, sent larger teams, 8 to 10 men instead of 3 to 5. Theory was that larger teams could overwhelm individual sniper positions. Theory was wrong. Kellerman changed tactics. Watched the larger teams through his cracked scope. Identified leaders by movement patterns. Leaders moved differently, more confident, more direct. They set pace for their teams. If you killed the leader, the team fragmented. He prioritized leaders. First shot always hit the team leader. Second and third shots hit whoever tried to take command. Teams without leadership scattered, retreated. Mission aborted. Infiltration failed. One team reached American lines. 10 Japanese soldiers. Kellerman killed 3 during their approach. The remaining 7 penetrated the perimeter. Marines killed 5 in close combat. 2 escaped back to the caves. But those 2 never made it. Kellerman shot them during their retreat, tracked them through darkness using the cracked scope's predictive offset. 2 moving targets at 220 yards. Both running, both killed. Physical toll was accumulating. Kellerman's hands shook from adrenaline and sleep deprivation. 5 hours sleep in 3 days. Park forced him to eat, forced him to drink water, kept him functional. Night 4, November 5th. 23 kills. Career high single night. Japanese desperation was obvious. Infiltrations from multiple cave systems simultaneously. Cave 17, Cave 23, Cave 9, Cave 31, 4 separate approach corridors. Kellerman couldn't cover all of them. Nobody could. He called artillery on Cave 12 when infiltrator volume overwhelmed his position. Fire mission, coordinates, 4 rounds high explosive. The cave entrance collapsed. Sealed 14 Japanese inside. They suffocated. Not Kellerman's confirmed kills, artillery's kills. But Kellerman's call saved American positions those infiltrators would have hit. Still got 23 confirmed sniper kills that night. Used the cracked scope to coordinate fields of fire with machine gun positions. Called targets he could see, but machine gunners couldn't. 2 targets, 180 yards, moving left to right. Fire on my shot. Machine gunners learned to trust Kellerman's calls. He could see movement they couldn't. His cracked scope was better than their night vision, better than flares, better than anything the Marine Corps issued. Coordination kills, 8. Kellerman's shot plus machine gun fire. Combined arms using a broken scope as forward observation. Night 5, November 6th. 18 kills. Japanese infiltrations dramatically reduced. Only 4 teams attempted approaches in Kellerman's sector. 20 infiltrators total. Kellerman killed 14. Remaining 6 withdrew without engaging. First time Japanese had retreated before contact. Last kill of the 5-day period came at 11:47 p.m. Solo infiltrator. Crawling toward battalion command post. 280 yards. Complete darkness. No moon. Cloud cover. Visibility maybe 30 yards. Kellerman saw him anyway. The cracked scope's offset image revealed movement normal optics couldn't process. He aimed, fired. The infiltrator stopped moving. Body found at dawn. Japanese lieutenant. Carried message ordering suspension of night operations in Sector 7. The message was explicit. American sniper position in grid coordinates 479 is eliminating all infiltration attempts. Recommends cessation of operations until countermeasures developed. The Japanese had quit 5 nights. 104 confirmed kills. 0 American casualties in Sector 7 after November 2nd. The infiltrations that killed 73 Marines in October killed 0 Marines in Kellerman's sector in November. November 7th, morning. Captain Morrison returned with Major General William Rupertus. Rupertus commanded 1st Marine Division. He wanted to see the ghost sniper personally. Wanted to understand how one sergeant killed more Japanese in 5 days than most platoons killed in 5 months. Rupertus examined Kellerman's rifle, picked it up, checked the action, looked at the stock, then held the scope up to sunlight to check optical clarity. Saw the crack immediately. Long silence. "Sergeant," Your scope is broken, Rupertus said. Yes, sir. How long has it been broken? 5 days, sir. And you shot 104 Japanese with a broken scope? Morrison corrected. 104 confirmed kills, sir. Estimated 20 to 30 more wounded who crawled back to caves. Rupertus looked at Kellerman. Explain how a broken scope improved your effectiveness. Kellerman demonstrated, showed the double image effect, explained how the offset created predictive aiming for moving targets, explained how doctrine required positive ID, but cracked scope allowed shooting at movement, explained how Japanese exploited the 3-second identification window, explained how the crack eliminated that window. Rupertus listened without interrupting. When Kellerman finished, Rupertus asked one question. Why didn't you report the damage? Requisition takes 6 weeks, sir. Japanese don't wait 6 weeks. Rupertus handed the rifle back. Don't break it again. He walked away without further comment. Morrison stared at Kellerman. You should be court-martialed. Yes, sir. Instead, you're getting a commendation. I hate this war. Morrison left. Park sat next to Kellerman. 5 days, 104 kills, 0 friendly casualties, 1 cracked scope that changed everything. What happens now? Park asked. Kellerman looked through his scope. The crack was still there, still offset, still showing 2 images, still working. Now we keep hunting, Kellerman said. Japanese 14th Division Headquarters, November 7th, 1944. Colonel Kunio Nakagawa reviewed infiltration casualty reports from the past 5 nights. The numbers were catastrophic. 104 confirmed dead, 31 wounded, 0 successful raids in Sector 7, not reduced success, 0 success. Nakagawa had commanded Peleliu's defense since April. 8 months of preparation, 10,500 troops, caves fortified to withstand sustained bombardment, defense in-depth doctrine that had bled the Americans for every yard. His strategy was working everywhere except Sector 7. He ordered investigations. Survivors were interviewed. 14 men had retreated from Sector 7 without completing missions. All reported the same phenomenon. Ghost shooter. Impossible accuracy in complete darkness. Shots fired before positive identification was possible. Targets killed before they knew they were targeted. Common elements emerged. Shot before seeing the sniper. Shot while using terrain that should have provided concealment. Shot at ranges that should have been impossible in darkness. Shot by someone who could see through solid night. Japanese intelligence analyzed the reports, drew conclusions. The Americans had developed new night vision technology, some kind of scope that could see in complete darkness, some kind of optic that revealed targets through vegetation and terrain, some kind of equipment that made traditional infiltration tactics obsolete. They were wrong. It wasn't technology. It was one cracked scope and one sergeant breaking regulations. But the Japanese never figured that out. Nakagawa issued orders on November 8th. Suspend night infiltrations in Sector 7 indefinitely. Redirect teams to Sectors 4, 5, and 6, where American sniper coverage was normal. Avoid the grid coordinates where the ghost shooter operated. Cost of engagement exceeded value of potential targets. Impact was immediate. American casualties from infiltration dropped from 73 in October to 12 in November. Kellerman's sector recorded 0 friendly casualties after November 2nd. The infiltrations that had terrorized Marines for months stopped completely in 1/5 of the defensive perimeter. Japanese confusion persisted through the end of the battle. Prisoners interrogated after Peleliu's fall in late November still believed Americans had night vision scopes in 1944. Post-war interviews with surviving Japanese officers confirmed they never understood what happened in Sector 7. They knew something killed 104 infiltrators in 5 days. They assumed it was advanced technology. Never considered it might be broken equipment used brilliantly. November 8th through 15th, 1944. Gunnery Sergeant Hayes authorized experimental modifications. 3 Marine snipers volunteered to crack their own scopes. Controlled breaks. Theory was simple. If Kellerman's accidental crack worked, intentional cracks might work too. Sergeant Wilson went first, dropped his scope from 3 feet onto sandbag. The lens shattered completely. Multiple cracks. No clear sight picture. Scope was destroyed. Unusable. Corporal Stevens went second, dropped his scope from 2 feet. Glass cracked but barely. Hairline fracture. No double image effect, no offset. The crack was too light. Scope still functioned normally but didn't replicate Kellerman's advantage. Private Chen went third, dropped his scope from 2.5 feet onto packed coral. Perfect crack. Diagonal. Clean. Created double image effect identical to Kellerman's scope. Chen's first night. 7 kills using predictive aiming method. The technique worked. Chen could see movement through the offset image. Could aim at shadows. Could shoot without positive ID. 7 confirmed kills without friendly fire incidents. Hayes expanded the experiment. 12 more snipers tried to crack their scopes. Results varied wildly. Wilson's scope. Destroyed. Stevens' scope. Unusable crack. Chen's scope. Perfect crack. 9 other attempts. 6 destroyed, 2 unusable, 1 moderate success. Of 12 attempts, only 2 produced usable double image effects, Chen's scope and Corporal Martinez's scope. Both worked. Both allowed predictive aiming. Both killed infiltrators at rates exceeding normal sniper performance. But 10 scopes were destroyed in the process. Hayes stopped the experiment on November 16th. Cost analysis was brutal. 12 scopes attempted, 10 destroyed. 2 successes. Each scope cost $73, $730 in destroyed equipment for 2 functional weapons. Unacceptable loss ratio. Hayes issued orders. No further intentional scope modifications. Chen and Martinez could keep their cracked scopes. Everyone else used standard equipment. Kellerman's scope remained unique. Accidental perfection that couldn't be replicated intentionally. Post-war analysis explained why. The specific angle and depth of Kellerman's crack was accidental perfection. 23-degree diagonal, penetrating 60% of lens thickness, creating offset of exactly 2 inches at 200 yards. Perfect geometry for predictive aiming at. Typical infiltrator movement speeds. Replicating that crack required precise angle, precise depth, precise placement. 1944 technology couldn't manufacture it intentionally. Kellerman's crack was accident. Trying to recreate accidents produced random results, usually destruction. Final Peleliu statistics. November through December 1944. Kellerman's total, 187 confirmed kills. 43 kills pre-crack with perfect scope. 144 kills post-crack with broken scope. The broken scope was 3.3 times more effective than the perfect scope. Average Marine sniper, same period. 23 confirmed kills. Kellerman killed more Japanese in 5 days than average snipers killed in 4 months. His 5-day total of 104 kills represented 46% of other snipers' 3-month totals. Marine Corps Sniper School requested Kellerman for instructor duty. December 19, 1944. Orders transferred him to Camp Pendleton, California. He brought the cracked scope, demonstrated the technique to sniper instructors. Instructors watched Kellerman shoot, watched him use the offset image, watched him hit targets at ranges that should have been impossible with damaged optics. Chief Instructor Gunnery Sergeant Paul Davidson observed for 3 days. Wrote evaluation report. Report conclusion. Sergeant Kellerman's technique is impossible to teach because it cannot be replicated. The cracked scope provides unique capabilities that standard equipment does not possess. Recommend alternative training methods that achieve similar results through different means. Alternative training developed. Emphasis shifted from positive identification to movement recognition. Doctrine revision authorized. When infiltration is confirmed and friendly positions are clear, suppressive fire is authorized against movement without positive identification. Kellerman's influence changed doctrine without changing equipment. Marines could shoot at shadows if tactical situation justified it. The regulations that got Reeves and Santos killed were revised. Not because equipment improved, because one sergeant proved the regulations were wrong. Navy Cross awarded February 10, 1945. Citation read, "For extraordinary heroism and innovative tactical methods, resulting in 187 confirmed enemy casualties and 0 friendly losses in assigned sector." Sergeant Kellerman's actions under combat conditions demonstrated exceptional initiative and produced measurable impact on enemy operations. Citation did not mention the cracked scope, did not mention breaking regulations, did not mention that the Marine Corps was awarding a medal for violating doctrine. Official military records credited Kellerman's success to superior tactical awareness and marksmanship skills. Truth was simpler. He had broken scope and used it better than perfect scopes. War ended August 15, 1945. Kellerman returned to Montana, worked as hunting guide in Glacier National Park. The cracked scope went with him, kept it mounted on his Springfield, never fired it again. The rifle stayed in his cabin. Reminder of 5 days when broken equipment saved lives. 1947. Outdoor Life magazine interviewed Kellerman for article on Marine snipers. Reporter noticed the scope, asked about the crack. Kellerman explained everything. The drop, the spiderweb fracture, the double image, the 104 kills in 5 days. Article published July 1947. Title: The Accident That Killed 104 Japanese. Article explained the cracked scope technique. Explained how broken equipment became superior equipment. Explained how one sergeant changed sniper doctrine. Marine Corps requested the scope for historical archives. Kellerman refused. "It's mine. I earned it." He kept it for 5 years, used it as teaching tool when young veterans visited, showed them the crack. Explained that perfect equipment wasn't always necessary. Sometimes imperfect equipment used perfectly was better than perfect equipment used poorly. 1952. Kellerman donated scope to Marine Corps Museum. One condition: permanent display. Museum agreed. Created exhibit titled "Innovation Through Adversity." Displayed Kellerman's rifle. The cracked scope, Park's spotter notes showing kill counts each night, and Japanese casualty reports captured post-war. Korean War, 1950 through 1953. Marine snipers tried to replicate cracked scope technique. All attempts failed. Scopes broke differently. Random cracks. No consistent double image effect. Just destroyed optics. Vietnam era. Kellerman consulted on night vision scope development, 1964 through 1968. Defense contractors asked him to explain the cracked scope principle. How did overlapping images create predictive aiming? How did offset show target future position? Kellerman explained the geometry: 2-inch offset at 200 yards, 3-foot lead for moving targets, depth perception from overlapping views. Contractors took his principles. Developed electronic implementation. Early starlight scopes used image intensification to create similar predictive effects. Modern night vision descended from concepts Kellerman discovered accidentally. Thomas Kellerman died April 3, 1987. Age 67, Heart attack while elk hunting in Montana wilderness. Found 2 days later by park rangers. Died doing what he loved. Hunting in mountains. Alone. Funeral drew 14 Marines. Park attended. Now 63 years old. Still kept the spotter notebook from Peleliu. Still remembered every night. 5 nights. 104 kills. 0 friendly casualties. Park gave eulogy. Ghost didn't need perfect equipment. He needed a reason. We gave him 73 dead Marines. He gave us 104 dead infiltrators and 0 more casualties. Perfect equipment fails. Perfect Marines don't. Kellerman buried with full military honors. Montana. Headstone simple. Thomas Kellerman, 1920 to 1987. U.S. Marine Corps. 187 confirmed. Does not mention cracked scope. Does not mention 5 days. Does not mention imperfection becoming perfection. Marine Corps Museum still displays the scope today. Crack still visible. Never repaired. Plaque reads, Sergeant Thomas Kellerman's M1903A4 scope. Cracked November 2, 1944. Used to eliminate 104 enemy infiltrators in 5 days. Modern sniper training studies Kellerman's 5 days, not the cracked scope itself. The mindset. Doctrine said, wait for perfect conditions. Kellerman said, use imperfect tools perfectly. Innovation comes from necessity, not permission. If this story moved you, hit that like button. Every like helps preserve these forgotten histories. Subscribe for more stories about soldiers who broke rules to save lives. Real people, real heroism, real innovation. Drop a comment. Where are you watching from? Do you know a veteran who improvised solutions in combat? Our community spans the globe. Texas to Tokyo. Veterans to students. You're not just viewers. You're keeping these memories alive. Thank you for watching. Thank you for remembering Thomas Kellerman. Thank you for honoring the ghost, who turned a broken scope into 104 reasons the Japanese stopped coming at night. Next week, another forgotten innovator who changed warfare. Another story that deserves to be remembered. Another piece of history rescued from silence.